That is low. Sorry, Jack, this is gonna be a bit off balance. Hello everyone of the Jack Ruhl Show. It is I, Joey. Right now it is currently 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, and we have nothing filmed today. Sorry about that, guys. So listen, here is the sitch. So yesterday, as you guys saw from the video that was just uploaded, that we went to San Francisco. It was a big day, a lot of walking around, and with that, it was super exhausting. And then Jack spent most of today editing and preparing that video for you guys, and that really drained him. Even though it may not seem like it, that video took a lot of time and effort to make, and he's just really tired right now. He's actually sleeping in bed right now. So I just kind of want to give him the night off. So right now, I'm going to be doing a bit of Wednesday wisdom with you guys. So this is all on the fly. I don't really have anything planned. So I'm just going to talk until something smart comes out. Let's see what happens. That's me right there. That was me when I was a baby. So yeah, I was born and raised here in Walnut Creek, California. I've lived in this house that Jack is staying in my entire life. That's basically all that I'm super familiar with, is this house right here. I guess my life has sort of an interesting story. Let's get into it. These right here are two things that define my childhood, all right? I mean, collectively it's one thing, but they're just two relics from my childhood that I look back on as a way of remembering what my foundation was. So this right here is a VHS copy of Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This was the movie that I first watched that got me into storytelling and making movies and all that other fun stuff. I must have played this tape a million times over, watched it over and over again. I was mesmerized by this film when I was a kid, and obviously when I was just a kid, it was just a bunch of cool lightsabers and space battles going on, and you know, that was just really cool for me. And this film is really what got me started asking questions like, how did this movie get made? Like, what's the process of telling this story? And then that's when my parents taught me about movie making and writing out stories and scripts and stuff like that. So at a very young age, thanks to this film right here and this very VHS right here, that's how I really got into film. And a good place where I was able to get films like this was Blockbuster. Yes, this is an original Blockbuster VHS case. This is a collection of Tom and Jerry cartoons. But yes, I used to go to Blockbuster all the time when I was growing up, getting so many different movies, so many different animated shows. And this outlet right here, before Netflix, before all that stuff, is really what got me into discovering new types of films and movies and stuff like that, and really inspired me from a very young age of how to tell my own stories. And a lot of those stories started right here in this room. Yes, this is my bedroom, still is my bedroom, was my bedroom growing up. In here, I spent a lot of time playing with toys, coming up with stories, writing stuff out. As a matter of fact, I think I may have a doodle book from when I was younger. So these books right here are the kind of notebooks I would use to make doodles, to write stories out, you know, anything I needed to use to tell a story. So this one right here has a bunch of different doodles and stuff like that from different characters I made growing up. You know, I had like comic book characters. These are all from early elementary school. So I made like little doodles of my teachers, you know, while boarding class, right? And then, you know, this was just a great outlet for me to tell stories, was just through drawing. And then in this one here, you can see that, you know, I would like to draw my own graphic novels. This is one I was working on called Punk Flowers. Basically, it is about a garden. Basically, the world takes place in a garden where flowers rule and weeds are kind of like the poor people, and the flowers would always beat up on the weeds. And in this story, the weeds have to rise up and take down the flowers. So yeah, it was just something I was working on a while ago. And I just knew from an early on that this is what I wanted to go into. But unfortunately, it wasn't the easiest route to take growing up. You see, as I started to get older, mainly 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so middle school, it was harder to be that kid who was all about going into art stuff. I remember at that age, I felt very pressured to be into sports. And I liked sports growing up. I did. I really enjoyed getting out there and playing with my friends. But at the end of the day, it wasn't my true passion. And I always felt like an outsider because of that. I always felt like I didn't fit in. Now, throughout all of middle school and elementary school, I would always make short films and short little YouTube videos and sketches with my friends, primarily with people like Tisha, who you've met. And that, I remember, is what brought me the greatest joy. But because of the environment I was growing up in, it just, for whatever reason, I was afraid of pursuing that full time. And that changed when I went to high school. That right there is me, Joey, freshman year of high school. I changed from a public school to a private school. Kind of a difficult transition because the private school I was going to, it was one of the best like school for athletics in the country. That transition going from a place where I felt like I had to play sports to a place where I felt like I needed to play sports to fit in wasn't so easy. But luckily there was a creative outlet for me, and that came in the form of company. On this wall here, I have all of the company brochures or play programs that I participated in over the years. I found company basically on a accident. I'd always kind of been interested in acting and in theater because it seemed like it was close to film. So I remember when they announced it my freshman year, I kind of went in and said, all right, I'll check it out. And I signed up to be the assistant stage manager, kind of just because it sounded like directing. And I've always wanted to direct, so I went into that, and I just instantly fell in love with the arts there. That's when I was able to be a part of a team that was all about creating things and telling stories. And I've never had that before. Of all the sports I played growing up, the best I was at was soccer, and it was also my favorite. I remember when I got to high school, I promised my dad that I'd try out for at least one sport. Even though he knew I wasn't completely into it, I promised him I'd try out for one. And naturally, I chose soccer, you know? And I went to the first couple workouts, you know, with the team and all that, and it was fun, you know, it was nice, but it wasn't the same as doing company, being in that theater, building sets, running line with actors. That's what I was really into. And so I remember soccer tryouts and tech week and opening week for the play, my first play I was working on, both came at the exact same time. So I remember I started going to soccer tryouts, and I remember having this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach that I wasn't where I needed to be. And I felt like I needed to be in that theater with the friends I had made over the past couple months and putting this show on. So I remember the first day of tryouts, I was having a miserable time. They just had us running laps. They weren't even having us play any soccer whatsoever. And I remember thinking to myself, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And I remember I intentionally sucked that first day of tryouts, and I got cut. And as soon as I got cut, I walked in cleats and shin guards over to the theater, to my new home, the place that made me happiest. I guess the point I'm trying to get at is people seem to spend a lot of their lives and a lot of their times doing things that aren't necessarily what internally makes them happy. You should always put your happiness at the utmost importance in your life. Yeah, sure, growing up playing sports and all that, I felt like I fit in. It felt like I had a group of friends and stuff like that, but it really wasn't making me happy. It was making me comfortable. But when I did company, that's when the thing is, when you start doing something you love, that's when things get hard, you know? I was stage manager and president at the same time of the theater organization company at my school. There were so many sleepless nights, so much stress, so much anxiety going on, but at the same time, I wouldn't have traded the experience for the world because I was so happy whenever I was in that theater. And because of that courage that that experience built up in me, I felt like I could take on any challenge. And the next big challenge was pursuing a career in film, which is what I'm currently doing. It was something that I've always wanted to do. Ever since I was that little kid rewinding Empire Strikes Back in the VCR over and over again, I knew that this is what I was born to do. Even though what you love may seem scary to go after, never second guess yourself, because you only got one life. You only got one shot at this whole life thing. So make the most of it. Do what you love and love what you do. That just came out. That was not scripted. I love doing company, and even though it was scary for me to admit that in a school that was all about sports, I still did it, and it made me the happiest. It made me the happiest person ever. Whatever your true love may be, whether that be cooking or going to vet school or buying your own farm, whatever it may be, don't think about doing it. Don't wait about doing it. Do it. Make it happen. Today, start and do whatever you need to do to make it happen. Just that. So there you guys go. There's your little Wednesday wisdom for you. Really, that turned more into a motivational speech than a speech about wisdom. But yeah, that's just a piece of my story. Just do what you love life, love yourself, just love all around. That's the most important thing you could possibly do. And yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you guys continue to pursue what you love to do and to overcome any challenges that may come your way, even when it seems hard. Just push through, and I promise you won't regret it.
Well, everybody, that's all for today. Huge shout out to Joey for making this episode possible. I crashed really hard today because I was editing for 6 hours on the San Francisco video. I think editing just took it out of me for the whole day. I gave everything I could to that video, and then once that was done, I was just gone. I'm glad you guys got to hear more about Joey, get some motivation and some wisdom from him. I think there's a lot to be learned from this episode from Joey, and that's something that I really appreciate about him. That he's always willing to share his story and share more about his life so that you guys can get that value from him. So thank you for watching, and as always, be awesome.
My moods live on that swing sim. Push me hard, push me swing into tomorrow. Yo, as a